and we are now recording. Hello.
Hello.
It has now been about since a week or more since your rather worrisome situation with your friends. But as a lot of the people around you are telling you, you have to still be able to put yourself and your heart first in a way. And so you are going on an extended stay with your friend, question mark, Quintilius, to his hometown on Arcavius. Uh, I would love for you to walk me through what kind of things you would want to take, if you would want to bring anything extra, if you want to do anything particular before you show up. Um, because Quintilius is teleporting you over there.
Yes, I do remember that. I think Dove definitely fixes up their appearance to look nicer before they go, like smooth down their hair, put it
Mm-hmm.
back, like try to get rid of their I say eye bags. They have default eye bags at all times. Like
Yes,
you know what I mean? Like
the really
the
bad
the
ones.
the tiredness and like the way that everything has been wearing on them. They try to
Mm-hmm.
like correct that as much as they can and get a little bit dressed up. They don't have too many things, but I think they wear just like their common clothes because I don't see a reason that they would wear their school clothes there.
Exactly. And then your
Um,
suit is a bit too fancy. It's like date night, you know?
for sure. And I think they do up the top of their shirt so it's not as slutty.
I think that's super fair.
So it's more like presentable as like a nice casual clothing situation.
Hmm.
Um, so they look nice, casual, but like still nice, a bit dressed up. Um, I think if I had asked Quintilius, like, because I think that Dove definitely believes Quintilius said it's safe there, but if Dove have had asked, like, should I bring like a weapon or anything, like, would what do you think Quintilius would have said?
I definitely think that, like, I don't think that he would think that that's an outlandish question to ask, but I definitely think he would be taken aback by it. I think that he would, like, assure you that, like, he wouldn't ever think that you would need to defend yourself in Silk Meadow.
Okay,
He
Dove,
he is constantly in the city with no weapon, no nothing.
that's fair. Dove is tucking a dagger in their boot
I think keeping
because
a dagger on you, no matter how safe an area is very smart.
Dove's like, I see you and I hear you. I grew up in a big city. No.
Exactly. I am gonna keep my knife on me because if I'm the one bitch that gets mugged, I will be pissed.
Right. So, Dev will take that. I think Dev will also still
Hmm.
take their viol with them.
Yes, I think that's fair.
Just to have it, just in case spellcasting or
Hmm.
performances arise. Do have it. Oh, well, I guess I could also bring a flute or a lute.
Yeah, you
No,
could bring it.
I will have it be the viol because that is classic.
Hmm.
Sorry, I'm kind of just looking through my inventory really quick. I didn't have any specific. Oh, and my travel alchemy kit. Obviously, that's always with me now.
Always on you. You never know when you'll need it.
I stay strapped.
Hey, keep that thing on me. Um, yeah, that's
I
completely
think
fine.
that's
You definitely didn't have to have something put aside. I just wanted to know if it was a situation of like I'm bringing everything I own, that sort of thing.
no, I think that might actually be it because like I have stuff like, soap,
Hmm.
uh like I don't know. I have stuff, but I also don't need it because like I assume that they will be having like
Hmm.
soaps and other such things at their house. So yeah, I think honestly just the dagger and my instrument, and I'm
Okay,
good.
yeah, awesome. I really like that. I think that it's really like fitting, and I also think it's really telling, for like what kind of stay you're going. But I think something very interesting whenever you meet up with Quintilius, and I'm gonna describe what Quintilius looks like in a second, because you've never seen Quintilius not in his uniform before. That's just a thing. Fun fact.
True.
Um, I do think Quintilius, as a little rich boy with his like 2 suitcases, is just like, oh, is that all you're bringing?
I actually do. I do think that would be bringing all of the change of like clothings that they
Yes.
have. But I feel like that goes kind of without saying.
But it's still like a small thing. You
It's
know what I mean?
super small because it's you can't see the dagger, and then so Dove is just holding like their instrument case and then like changes of clothes, and
Oh yeah,
I
and
think
like
they
probably in like your backpack.
yeah, and
Just-
I think Dove is just kind of like, um, should I have brought more?
oh, and he goes to clear his throat, and he's like, no, you can bring whatever you need. Uh, I guess I just never realized how heavy I travel.
I I didn't have the opportunity to bring much with me to Strixhaven, so I'm afraid I don't have many changes of clothing just yet.
Uh, I want you to roll me an insight really quick.
Okay. Please don't think I'm gross. I watched them. 18.
18. You see a couple things change on Quintilius's face. Um, and you feel like he's almost mollified and realized like what he just said to you. Um, and you see that he kind of goes to kind of clear his throat again and kind of says, "Ah, well, that makes sense." Um, and he is a little bit embarrassed. But now
Oh.
I can describe to you what he's dressed in because he looks really nice. As I've said, you've never seen him not in a uniform, so you've only ever seen him in Prismari colors with sort of like these swooshing reds and blues, like the frills of white as an accent. But you see that he's wearing casual clothes today, and you can tell that there's this sort of like white. I want to say like a button up. Um, very simple but very like elegant with like maybe the top button unbuttoned and like the sleeves rolled up and basically like those kind of pants that are kind of like blue like slacks, they look like suit pants,
Hmm.
and like the shirt's tucked in, and like he has like this sort of like really elegant like matching like necklace and like bracelet, um and he has you can tell that he has a little bit of makeup on but not terribly much. But he looks uh really handsome in a way you don't get to see him a lot, I feel like, is the way I could best describe it.
Enough about me, though. You look very nice in your casual clothes. I can't believe I've never seen you in those before this.
I'm gonna let that insight roll over, because you not only have you just embarrassed him, but now you are embarrassing him a little more. You can see that there's sort of like a flush, that comes up a bit under a bit of the foundation that he is wearing. And he kind of goes to not awkwardly, but kind of like flusteredly, like fidget with like his rolled up sleeve, like he's like readjusting it and stuff. And he says, "Well, uh, thank you. Coming from me, that means a lot.
I'm
I've always quite
glad.
liked your fashion sense."
Really? And here I thought it was a bit limited.
Limited doesn't speak for the quality.
Thank you. That's very nice to hear.
Anyway, should we be off?
Yes, I believe I have uh everything. I'm as ready as I'll ever be, I suppose. I'm a
Uh,
bit nervous.
don't be. It's it's a wonderful city. I think that you'll have a wonderful time.
I There were many great houses and mansions and the like in the city where I grew up, but actually thinking about being inside one of them and around uh, very rich people is a bit nerve-wracking in a way that I've never had to think about before, I suppose.
You see him go to sort of take a deep breath and sigh, and he says, "I can understand that. It's
I'm
one of the
sorry,
reasons why. No, I'm hoping that I can help you avoid some of the rubbing of elbows. Uh, so I hope that you can still feel welcome regardless."
thank you, Quintilius. That means a lot, and I'm sorry. It must sound silly to you, but
No, no, I don't worry. I understand.
and Dev will offer out their arm.
Uh, he kind of goes to laugh and he holds up both of his suitcases and he says, "Unfortunately, you'll have to put your arm around mine. I have to keep a hold of my things."
Very well, very well. And Dove will step closer and link their arm with Quintilius's.
Nice. You see that Quintilius doesn't have the spell scroll out. But you see that he kind of goes to close his eyes and almost from memory recite the same incantation that you, all of you, have been using for your teleports home. If this one is a little bit shorter, since it is not a plane shift, it is a teleport. Um, and after a second or two, you are no longer in Strixhaven. You teleport in the same way that you've always teleported with your friends or when you go home, and it lands you directly in front of the person's home. And you see a beautifully gilded gate with scrolling filigree that you notice has motifs of woodland scenes and flowering trees and frolicking animals. Your feet are now standing on a pale and beautiful mosaic walkway up to elegant marble steps and an immaculately kept garden. Green everywhere, with splays of blues and pinks and purples offset by the gorgeous autumnal leaves still hanging onto the elegant willows. That's before you've even taken in the estate. It's pale white with elegant pastel accents on the shutters and eaves of the roof, shimmering and splendid in the scene around it. You count 3 stories of bright, clear windows, and he goes to walk you up the doors and exchange a few words with a woman in a beautiful flowing white dress and auburn hair, obviously caring for some of the flowers on a bush by the porch, before he goes to usher you inside. Unless you would like to do anything in this garden.
Not just yet, but I do feel like when they first arrive and Dove kind of takes in everything, I feel like they can't help but let out a gasp.
Yeah, that's fair. Is there a particular thing that you think that Dove would react to it that way, like with the garden or like the house or like getting closer up to it, the walkway even, the gate? All of it?
Like, generally all of it, because I feel like the house is really beautiful, but, like, I feel like Dove has seen a big house before, but, like, the estate all around and, like, the garden and, like, the gate and the walkway is just, like, all beautifully put together.
100%. I would
And I
like you
feel
to...
like
Sorry, go ahead.
oh, go ahead.
No, you first.
I just feel like Dove, like, kind of, like, lets out an involuntary gasp at, like, the beauty of all of it, and still following Quintilius, like, as, like, he's kind of leading the way. I think they're just kind of looking around in awe of everything.
I think while you're doing that, something cute that Quintilius does is I think Quintilius is taking it not as just, like, a general thing, but, like, for specific things. So, like, if you make a noise and you're looking towards, like, the trees in the garden, he would mention that they're scarlet corkscrews is like the genus, and that they always use it for the fall garden, or no, the garden in the cold season. Or like the walkway was commissioned by his father, that sort of thing. And he's sort of like casually talking to you about it. Not technically meaning to show it off, which I think speaks for like his demeanor, but I think that that's really
Mhm.
interesting with how you are like floored by this. But I would
Yeah,
like
Dev
you.
is
Go ahead.
sorry. Dev is definitely listening to him. Also, I
Yes.
just wanted. Yes.
Yeah, I like them. I'm sorry that I keep getting excited to talk.
No, it's okay. What am I rolling?
Perception check.
Perception. 13.
13. Okay, cool. You don't get a lot of details in this, but as you are going up the steps and into the home, you look over to the flowers again that are by the door, where the woman is sort of tending and pruning some of the blossoms, and you see under the bush, looking up at you, are two little eyes, but you don't get high enough to really see where they belong to.
This is next to the woman.
Next to the woman, like under the bush that's right next to her feet, if that makes sense.
Okay. I feel like, as they kind of pass by the woman, um, if she's like talking to Quintilius and looks over in Dove's direction at all, because I do think Dove would also be like looking to her.
Uh-huh.
I would just like Dove to smile politely and wave at her,
Mm-hmm.
and then also, beside her, when they notice the eyes, they also give another kind smile and wave to those as well.
That's really cute. I think that she looks confused almost before she looks down and then kind of um she gives you sort of a smile that looks a bit mischievous almost before she nods her head and goes back to her work as you go into the house.
Who were they?
Oh, are you going to stop to ask her?
No, no, no. I'm asking
Oh, okay.
Quintilius.
I'm so sorry. I misunderstood. You see him go to look up. And one second. I have so many notes for this area. Please be kind to me. You see that he looks up and looks almost surprised, and he says, "Oh, who, Waverly? She works in the gardens. She's
Oh,
very kind. I like to keep up with it.
there was someone, or something else beside her, though.
You see he takes a second to kind of respond as he looks like he's thinking. I want you to roll me another insight.
Okay.
As he goes to explain, oh, you must have seen one of the animals. Silk Meadow is known for being a very green city. It's very common for things like rabbits and deer to be within the city limits.
Just a 10 insight, but I do have like a question.
Yeah.
The eyes that I saw, were they like, could I tell that they were like distinctly an animals, or like did they appear humanoid?
They did not look like human eyes. I would say that they would look closer to an animal. But you couldn't
That's
see any of
fair.
the features of what's around it.
Dev still would have smiled and waved to it, much like you would,
Oh yeah,
like
you
a
would want to know if there was like
yeah.
a weird animal in your bush. You know what I mean?
Yeah, I don't think Dove was weirded out by it, but like I think I can see Dove smiling and waving at animals,
Mm-hmm.
regardless. So like the reaction still would have been the same.
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm. Yeah, yeah, yeah,
Uh,
yeah, yeah,
yeah, Dove just kind of nods at that.
yeah. Nice. and you are kind of ushered in. You stopped for a second on the inside of this building to kind of have that interaction, but you see that the inside is a similar amount, but almost more opulent than the outside. As you come out into a very ornate foyer with this sort of grand staircase that's the center of this sort of entrance room that goes all the way up to the second floor. And there are many branching paths in front of you and also to both sides and also up the stairs. And a lot of the decorations in this house are, I don't want to say gaudy because I do think that they look nice, but I think that to Dove they would still look gaudy because it's a lot of pale white, it's a lot of marble, it's a lot of gold filigree. You know what I mean?
It I can definitely see that because like it's it's so much finery
Mhm.
confined all in one place and like not a single piece of the construction is made like generally. It's all like
Yeah.
finery. And so I think to Dove, yeah, I would be like, oh, this is a lot to take
Oh yeah.
in.
Every like couple feet on the walls there is another like gold like portraited like painting. You know what I mean? It's it feels like even though it looks nice and it looks elegant and there is a style to it, it still feels so much like showing off. You know what I mean?
Yeah, I think Dove is really quiet, like ever since they touched down,
Mhm.
not out of like rudeness or ignoring Quintilius because they are like listening with interest to anything that he explains or like
Mhm.
answers. I just think Dove is so floored by all of this, especially when they walk into a very nice house like
Mhm.
this for like the first time ever, and they're even like
Mhm.
they're just so floored, they're so quiet, they don't know what to say at
A
all.
100%. Sorry to keep giving details, but like it's like I imagine it too because this is also a big room because it's one of those rooms where you can see all like the center of all of the floors.
Yeah.
There's probably like a glass skylight and shit. You know what I mean? It's like fancy.
Oh, for sure.
Anyways, but I think that it's fine that if Dove doesn't say anything because I also think that Quintilius. I don't want to say he's like rushing, but I also don't think that he's like hesitating. I think that he like knows where he's going, and so he's kind of going about it with the casual way that he would in his own home.
Mhm.
Um, and he leads you down one of the wings to the right. And after walking for a little bit and then going up a smaller flight of stairs, um, you come to a room that he opens up, and the inside of this room, if other rooms were if the rest of this house was jaw dropping, then I also imagine this would because it is lavish to an extreme. Like Howell level maximalism in
My
this
goodness.
room that is actually like really strong, distinct style change from the rest of this house. Um, with this sort of like gold brocade, like huge comforter on the bed. It's got like a chase lounge. It very much looks like the same feel of the studio that Quintilius had at Strixhaven if he had more space and money, you know?
Mhm.
And
Well, can
so
can we
yeah.
pause for just a second?
Oh yeah, we can pause. Um, and the last feature of this room that I wanted to touch on is sort of the focal point of this room, which is a very large bay window that oversees like as this beautiful view of Silk Meadow, which means I get to tell you what Silk Meadow looks like. Um, which has sort of the same aesthetics that you've seen on the outside of the house, but it's all like mosaic walkways, beautiful white stone, arching architecture, um, overflowing greenery, trees and flowers on every corner. But it's also cut up by beautiful blue waterways, almost as common as the walkways are, with elegant little gondolas and floating lily pads.
Oh, it's
Yeah,
so pretty.
it's so pretty. Sorry, I have to get Chauncey off my desk. It's so pretty. I really like it. I'm gonna send you the picture I'm using as the backdrop for this episode.
Sure.
Chauncey's mad I put him on the ground.
Hmm.
Where are you, Silk Meadow?
Oh, that's so pretty.
Yes.
What is Quintilius doing when we go into his room?
He is actually very specifically going to put down his things. He goes to kind of thump his suitcases on his bed before he comes back to you. And I think if you're kind of just taking it in, I think he's going to apologetically sort of smile and say, sorry, I wanted to set down my things since I was carrying a bit more, but I'll take you to your room now, if you'd like.
No, please don't apologize for anything. I was just, taking in the view outside your window. It's very beautiful here.
You see he goes to also look out the window and kind of cross his arms and lean against, like, the wall next to his door, and he says it is. It's one of the reasons why I picked this room.
When you said your father commissioned this walkway, the walkways around the town look the same. Was that also by him?
I believe at least some of them are. Some of the mosaics can be pretty old, but we as a family have funded a lot around Silk Meadow. So I wouldn't be surprised if he commissioned all of them, but I know at least some he has. And he kind of goes to point to a certain thoroughfare that looks like really wide, made for a lot of like walking but also cart traffic, and he says, I know that he commissioned this one at the same time that our walkway was being made.
I think that Quintilius would definitely notice that Dove's expression is very much not guarded ever since they arrived here. Like, I don't think they're like giddy and like, oh my gosh, because like they're
Yeah.
they're still sad and still upset about everything at this point. But also, this is such a mood lift for them. Like, I do think that Quintilius would be able to see a really quiet, like, happiness, and like awe and just delight on Dove's expressions.
I think that out of the corner of your eye, you notice Quintilius kind of looking at you and giving a small smile, and then looking back out the window and saying, there might be a lot of stuffy individuals around here, but I think that there is something to be said about the healing abilities of being in a beautiful place. I think it's why a lot of people like to come here.
It is like something out of a dream. I don't blame them.
But come, let me let you get situated. I'll show you to your room.
Of course, thank you.
And as you kind of go back out into the hallways, Quintilius goes to lead you through a couple more. It's not terribly far, and you think that it would be very easy for you to find Quintilius's room again from where yours is. But you do notice that as he sort of picks his path, there is almost a quick little trot to how he's moving, as if he is attempting to get you there a bit faster, before ducking into one of the rooms and letting you in. And this room is also still fine, but it does still have the appearance of like a guest bedroom that wouldn't be as personalized or as well decorated. But it's still finer than most rooms you've ever had the luxury of staying in, even compared to when you would set the mood for guests at your inn. And the focal point of this one is sort of a big 4-poster bed that has these beautiful, like, gauzy canopy that you can, like, pull shut, that matches the curtains in a more modest room that also still has a really beautiful view. It has light wood furniture with gilded edges, and it has a side bathroom that has not only a shower but also a porcelain clawfoot tub and a very big mirror.
Yay! Yippee!
Yes. Sorry, you can react to it now. But I just wanted to give you the whole layout.
I think Dove will set down their things on the bed, much like Quintilius did, and kind of just start slowly walking around. Like they walk into the bathroom and like look around at it. They look out the window. And they have a small smile on their face. And I think if Quintilius doesn't say anything, I think when they're done kind of taking their little tour, I think they turn to him and again just say, again, it was very kind of you to let me come here, Quintilius. Thank you. This already means a lot to me.
I think something really cute about when you do that is Quintilius hasn't technically been saying anything while you've been looking around, but I think that he has kind of been moving around the room, like opening the window to let in a nice breeze. He opens sort of this like wardrobe near the bed and sort of pulls out. Dove might or might not know this, but to illustrate to us what these are, they're like tea robes, which are like fancy little tie dresses that fucking Victorians used to wear around the house.
Okay.
And you didn't have to fit them really well to people, so like it would make sense that they would be in a guest room because they would fit most people. And he goes to lay like some on the bed and says, like, I think he goes to like gesture to like a linen closet to explain something to you, but then he sees that like your demeanor and how you're saying like thank you and like you seem really genuine, and I think that he gets kind of flustered and looks away and goes to mess a bit with the curl in his hair, and he says, "Oh, please don't mention it. I'm glad to have you here. Please, you're our guest. You don't you don't have to show me your gratitude or anything."
I know, but it I'm having trouble finding the words to describe this place as anything other than like something in a dream, but it's you were quite right that it's peaceful here and just nice.
You see him go to kind of smile at you, still flushing a bit, and as he goes to say something, he doesn't quite get it out before you hear a really loud and insistent knock at the door that almost makes him jump. As you hear a voice from the hallway go to call out, "Tilly, Mama said invite your guest to brunch." And you notice something happen very quickly. As the door almost goes to sneakily peek open, but Quintilius doesn't even have to look at the door to know this is happening before he puts a hand on it and like leans on it to close it back until it clicks.
Dove's hands kind of go up like palm facing outward, and they say, "Oh, you can let them in. It's all right."
He's gonna kind of look at you for a minute to like try to gauge like your demeanor, I suppose. And I think that instead of letting them in, I think he's going to kind of stage whisper to you and like point at the door and be like, I can make him go.
No, it's really all right. You can let him in if you want. I don't mind meeting them.
It's really cute because he almost looks like he doesn't believe you, but then he carefully goes to open the door. And in almost like falls, as you can tell that this figure was like leaned against the door trying to push it open. And you see Two figures, actually, and I'm going to show you their pit crew. Because they're twins.
This one.
Yes. They look to be about 10 or 11, like annoying tween era.
Do they both look like that?
They both look like that. They both look identical. They're dressed identical. Their hair is styled identical.
I love that.
And they sort of like fall forward a little bit, but they catch themselves. And then you see two like unimpressed, huge eyes just kind of stare at you. And Quintilius. Sorry, go ahead.
Dove's demeanor kind of adjusts itself as the door opens to where like their hands kind of both go down in front of them, and like I have trouble describing it, but like their arms are down, but like their hands are kind of clasped together, like.
Oh, I see what. Yeah, I know what you mean.
Like politely, and they kind of just have like a very like polite smile on their face when the door opens, not like forced or anything, because like I think they're in a better headspace that they've been in at the moment, and I don't think it's hard for them to like be a bit more genuine about it right now, but just to like set the mood or the setting.
I think that as that sort of happens and these two are kind of like staring at you, Quintilius goes to sort of clear his throat. 1 second, I'm opening more files.
If they also don't say anything and just stare at Dove when the door opens, then Dove would also like break the silence and introduce themselves, but I'll let you go first.
Don't worry, Quintilius is going to introduce them because he looks a little bit annoyed by these little gremlins.
Okay.
He goes to sort of clear his throat and say, Dove, these are my baby sisters. I'm trying to think if no, he would give the whole name. Okay. And he goes to illustrate two, one before the other, but you still can't really tell either of them apart. But he says, meet Octavia Millicent Melantor and Novemia Katerine Melantor. Mia and Via, this is my friend, Dove. And he like looks over to them and kind of gives them a look. But one of them is immediately like, where's the rest of their name?
Dove kind of inclines their head politely with a smile and says, it's very lovely to meet both of you girls. Where I come from, people like myself, we only have the name and maybe a descriptor, but I don't have fancy last names like you, unfortunately.
They seem to both sort of accept this and kind of look towards each other before one of them comes up to you, like within like a foot of you.
Dove allows this.
And puts a hand up to her mouth to stage whisper, you should dye your hair.
What color?
She goes to squint at you for a little bit.
Dove just smiles. What color should I dye it? Like, conspiring with her, because she don't know what's about to happen.
I think you should do gray. The white makes you look washed out.
Oh, that's very fair. Here, allow me one moment, and they'll take a moment, like, they'll shut their eyes, like they're about to make a big show of it, as the roots of their hair down start turning like a gray color.
I like that.
How's this? Is this a bit better?
I like that a lot because right before, like right as soon as she says it, you see Quintilius is like, Mia. But then you're immediately like, okay. And then she immediately like looks at you, eyes like saucers. And then she immediately whips around to look at Quintilius and be like, we can do that? And Quintilius is like, no, Dove can do that. It's a very impressive skill. you should compliment them on it. Remember your manners. And the other one comes toddling over to be really close to you and also look at your hair that is now a completely different color. And I don't want to say they tug on your hair, but I think one of them tries to stealthily like touch the ends of it.
Oh, to see if it's real.
To
Dove
see if
kind
it's
of
not an
like
illusion.
Dove is incredibly willing to humor them, by the way. They are
Yeah.
like they are kids, and Dove loves to hang out with kids, even if they are very rude little kids. I don't think I don't think the hair thing affected them at all. Like they might make a comment on it later to Quintilius, but I don't think it like upset them really. So they kind of like lean their head down so it's easier for them to like touch the ends of their hair.
Nice. They definitely do that. And I think after a while of you doing that, I think Quintilius kind of goes to corral them away from prodding you because they start to be really bold with touching you. And they say, he says, all right, that's enough. You said Mama was calling us to brunch. My guests just arrived. It would be nice to give them a chance to get settled in first. And they kind of look over to you a bit when they say that.
Some time to get settled in would be nice, but I wouldn't mind going down to brunch later. It was very lovely to meet both of you girls, though.
You see that they both kind of look over to you a bit, and they go to give you really cute, practiced, but also like kid clumsy curtsies, you know, because they're wearing this like these frilly dresses, like these little pinafores. But then they look over to Quintilius and back to their sort of rude demeanor and says, brunch is in 30 minutes. If you miss it, you tell her. And they go to run off.
Dove will do a very flourished bow as they leave.
Nice. They leave the door open because they're kids.
Yeah. Dove kind of chuckles to themselves when they leave.
Quintilius goes to close the door and sighs and say, well, I was hoping we wouldn't run into anybody that would go and immediately tell them we were here, but I suppose there are more eyes than we expected.
I appreciate that you tried to warn me, but rest assured, I'm very used to the company of children. I taught a lot of them back home. I will say, though, do you think gray looks better on me? I hadn't thought that it made me look so washed out, but I already am so pale that I've never thought about it.
A kid knows how to insult you where it hurts. Like, kids insults are just factual. You know what I mean? It's like, oh my god, really? No, fuck. I think then Quintilius is really quick to sort of like, reassure you and be like, no, I don't think so. I just think that it's their tastes.
That's very nice. It didn't upset me. I just caught me a bit off guard. I hadn't expected them to cut so honestly, but it didn't bother me.
Quintilius looks
and they'll
relieved.
They'll let like the gray fade out of their hair.
Well, that's good. I would take what those two say with a grain of salt. They're known for being snippy little things.
They're very cute, though.
I think they are cute. I'm glad that they have managed to endear themselves to you even with their rudeness.
What did... Actually, Devil kind of think for a moment and go, when they asked you, if they could do that with their hair, what did they mean by that?
I think that question takes him off guard. I think that he kind of like blinks at you and he kind of goes to tilt his head aside and he says, what?
Well, I'm sorry, it's just that, I just thought it was a bit of a strange thing to ask when they turned to you after I changed my hair color and they asked you if they could do that. And it seemed like you were a part of whatever they meant. So I just hadn't known if they had meant anything by that.
You see, he kind of takes a second and he goes like, well, shape changers aren't really that common in Arcavius. I was very pleasantly surprised when I first saw your ability. Perhaps they misunderstood and thought it was some sort of spell or something one could learn to do.
Oh,
And considering I'm the sibling that went to the magic college,
that would make sense.
um, you as Mackenzie, if you want, you can roll an insight if you think Dove is trying to be like,
I think I will. I won't push it though.
Yeah.
Insight. Oh, it's not very good anyway. It's a 9.
Oh, now he seems to be truthful. He seems to be very confused about what you're talking about.
Yeah. That will kind of just like let it go and just say like, oh, that would make sense.
Very rarely do those two make connections that make sense to the majority of us. But like I said, if you don't have to push yourself to come down to brunch. As I said before we came here, I'd hoped that you would have a mostly unbothered respite. You don't have to push yourself to be around a lot of people right now.
I think Dove will kind of like they don't get sad as they say that, but their like joyfulness kind of does somber a little bit as like the serious tone of like why they're here kind of gets brought up again, but they'll say, I know, and I really do appreciate that you're looking out for me in that regard, but I really don't mind meeting them. If anything, it would be nice if I could, I know you keep saying not to express my thanks, but I can't help myself. I feel like it would be nice if I had the opportunity to express my thanks to them for allowing me to stay as a guest in their home. And I wouldn't force myself to do that. I truly do think that I would be okay going down there.
I have a fun question for you. Do you think that Dove is being 100% truthful right now?
I do. I don't think Dove is like overdoing any regard. Like Dove isn't saying, I'm gonna spend every moment with them, I'm gonna entertain them and blah blah blah. I do think that Dove genuinely like wants to thank these people for allowing them to like come here to get away from everything and like such a beautiful place. Even if it doesn't mean anything to them, it means so much to Dove.
I also can imagine that Dove is just the kind of person that does technically do better when you're around a lot more people. I think that like Dove was the most sad when they allowed themselves to distance themselves from everyone.
Yeah.
I definitely agree. Okay. I think that the reason why I asked that is I think Quintilius like kind of furrows his brows a little bit and tries to like read your face for a long moment, I think, before he relents and he goes to give a bit of a nod. And he looks a little bit tired, like he lets some of his mask slip, but he says, all right, if you think that you would have a better time down there, then, as I said, and as they said, I'm sure they would love to have you.
Oh, but if you're too tired, we don't have to go.
No. I knew that they would want to see me when I came back. It's fine. It's early in the day.
Well, I will say, it would make me feel better if you were there with me too, Tilly.
Don't worry. I was going to say something very, very heroic and poignant about not leaving you to be, leaving you to the sharks, but maybe now I might.
What do you mean? It's a cute nickname.
And one born out of necessity when you're a junior. My father went by Quinn, so I was left with Tilly.
Well, it's cute, Tilly.
He just looks embarrassed.
I'll stop teasing you. I'm sorry. I just couldn't help myself after I heard it.
No, it's fine. If it pleases you, you can keep using it.
I don't have to. I think that it annoys you.
Well, it is rather unrefined.
Of course, I understand.
um, but would you like the chance to maybe take a bath? I was going to lay out for you some. I'm. I realize I'm not sure if you enjoy things like tea gowns or house robes and the like, but I laid out a few that we keep in here for guests that you're more than welcome to.
Oh, that would be lovely. I don't mind at all.
I'm gonna get pictures of tea gowns because I love clothes.
Yes. I think a quick bath before going down would be nice.
I'm gonna send you a couple in DMs to give you the vibes. Obviously later, if you ever want to design one for Dove, then that's also definitely okay.
Ah, they're so pretty.
Yeah, they're just really like delicate and ornate little dresses that you like close in the front. Here's a really cute black and white one. I said go. Dang it. Hold on, I have to snip it. I'm sorry. I love clothes. I want to show you so many clothes. Like this one's a really cute one. This one's also a really cute one. This little lacy wrap, guys.
I love them.
Yes. Okay, here's the last one, and then I'll stop sending them. Okay, I'm done with clothes. I'm done with clothes. But I like them.
Yeah, Dove will definitely put one on after getting out of the bath.
Nice. Quintilius obviously leaves the room while you are bathing. And probably comes to collect you in about 30 minutes, so you have like the time to sort of really enjoy that clawfoot tub. That's nice.
Oh yeah. Oh yeah.
Oh yeah. I'm gonna pause really quick while I use the bathroom.
This
Okay.
is so cute and sweet.
It is so cute and sweet. I would love for you to tell me if there's anything in particular you think the Dove would do in the room, or like to get ready, that sort of thing. Because you're kind of left to your own devices for like 30 minutes, which is a pretty sizable amount of time.
Honestly, I don't think they do too much. I think they kind of just soak in the tub, probably for like a majority of it.
Mhm.
Like, get out, dry their hair as much as they can, and then like shrug into one of the tea gowns laid out for them.
Nice.
I think they don't do a lot because they're soaking in how nice it is to be in that bath and like the peacefulness and like the beauty of it here and like just relishing it and this brief time alone.
I definitely agree. I think it's something that like is nice, especially because you technically have a time limit, but you don't have to rush anywhere. You're not like doing things and going, which is something that I feel like Dove is so accustomed to.
Yeah.
Yeah. I think you take that time, and 30 minutes later, there is a quiet but polite knock at the door. And Quintilius calls out to see that it is him.
Dove will go and open the door. I think that they've adjusted their hairstyle since they had to undo it anyway, and I think it's like braided over their shoulder
Oh,
now.
I think that's cute. I was about to say that would look really cute with the tea gown.
Yes.
I think that Quintilius is wearing sort of a similar outfit, but has probably shrugged on a jacket because as the sun has gotten higher, it's gotten a little bit more chilly. And I think that he looks at you and gives you a smile and say, "Well, don't you look radiant?"
Sorry, hold on.
Yeah.
I
You
don't know what to
embarrassed?
say. No, I just didn't know how to respond to that because it was sweet. I think Deb would smile at that and say, I haven't done much though. I'm in one of the simple gowns that you laid out for me, and I've just taken a bath. That's all. You look far more radiant than I do.
I suppose then you don't have to do much to look this way. And I think that he's going to give you a very tentative kiss on the hand, like you did to him one time.
Oh my gosh.
And he'll say, I've come to pick you up for brunch with a gaggle of Mellentors.
It sounds lovely. I would love to accompany you.
He holds out his arm and he goes to take you down to brunch. You get to see more of this sort of very elaborate, ornate, elegant home. And eventually you come out to sort of a sunroom, which is a room that has the majority of the walls are windows to let in a lot of natural light. There's probably a skylight at the top of it. Set with a long but delicately put together table with a lot of people. There is there's 11 people at this table right now. And they all kind of go to look at you as Quintilius goes to sort of take you over to the table. And they have graciously left you 2 chairs next to each other. And your chair is next to. I'm going to describe all of them and I'm going to show you all of their pit crews, but the one that you're specifically sitting next to is a person you haven't seen yet. And is sort of this like a miserable 15-year-old Victorian orphan with like this sort of like long black hair that's like a little bit in his face. And he kind of looks at you as you go to sit down. And I'm going to show you all of the pit crews of these people as the woman who's sitting at the head of this table, this beautiful older woman, very dark skin, these like elegant curls framing her face. As she gives you a really warm smile and welcomes you to the table. And I'm going to show you a bunch of pit crews.
Yeah, I'm so excited.
This is the person at the head of the table that just welcomed you.
I thought that picture was really pretty.
Yes. This is the one sitting next to you.
Oh.
You know what Novemia and Octavia look like. Their pit crews are up there. They are both sitting together at another part of the table. And then I'm gonna send you kind of the rest of them all in a clump. So 1 second, let me get them all together because there's a lot of these bitches.
Yeah. While you're doing that, as that person kind of seated beside Dove looks over at them, Dove will give a polite nod of their head and kind of say like a soft like hello to them because I assume I'm about to start talking to everyone. But because Dove is getting seated next to them, I feel like it's only polite to like speak to them since they looked at them.
Yeah, definitely. I definitely think that you do that. What's so good?
Yeah, oh, I was just going to say Dove smiles very kindly at him and is just like, hello.
I think that he kind of just looks at you and eventually kind of like ducks his head in a little nod. But before he can really go to say anything, I feel like the table would start talking. You are about to be formally introduced to all of them because they're fancy asses.
Yes. I'm trying to debate if Dove should change their hair to gray again and just look at the twins, but I think they'll hold off for now.
1 second. Why do I feel like I'm missing people? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. There should be 9 total. Okay, I think this is everybody.
Okay. Oh my goodness. Ah! I love everybody.
Yes. And I am going to introduce all of them, and I'm going to point them out by the pit crew so you can like look at their face and know their name, right?
Okay.
So you, I think that the woman who welcomed you is like, hello. I hope that you're enjoying your time at my estate. I hear you're a close friend of my son. I am Tamatea Rosenthal Melantor. And your name?
Oh, it's very lovely to meet you, and yes, it's far more beautiful here than I could ever fully describe. I wish to thank you also for your hospitality in allowing me to stay here as a guest. My name is Dove, and it's lovely to meet you all.
It's wonderful to meet you, Dove. It's so nice to have guests. We don't have as many as you would expect. And she kind of gives this sort of like smiling but pointed glance over to Quintilius. Um, and goes to illustrate. She's actually going to introduce by birth order. So she's going to gesture to the red-haired one with the flower in her hair and say, well, this is my daughter, Primarosa Anastasia Melantor. Sorry, I'm trying to type them out for you.
I appreciate you doing that.
Yes. And she kind of gives a polite smile and a nod, and she looks pretty excited and interested in talking to you. Next is introduced the blonde one, which is the last one, as Sechlin Carmichael Melantor. And I have to copy paste that one because that's annoying to spell.
For little flavor, Dove is looking to each as they're introduced and like smiling and giving a little nod every time they're introduced to that person as like acknowledgement.
Nice.
I hope Miss Mama Melantor likes me.
I think that Sechlin, whenever you go to sort of like nod at him, I think that he gives you kind of like a 2-finger salute. Then next is the one with the long hair and glasses, who's introduced as Amphitrite Evangeline Melantor. After that is the ginger one with the sort of styled up short hair, who is introduced as Neride Benedictus Melantor. And then, sorry, there's so many bitches here.
No, I understand.
I think she pauses to kind of be funny, and she's like, of course you know my son, Quintilius. And then the younger of our merry band is, she gestures to the one with the sort of blonde bowl cut and say, this is Cicely Dulcinea Melantor. I hope that you'll be able to enjoy the company of my youngest son, Setimio, and gestures to the black-haired one sitting next to you, Setimio Augustine Melantor. And my youngest, my baby girls, Novemia and Octavia. I also heard that they had a chance to meet you as well.
Yes, I briefly met them as they invited me to brunch.
Nice. And then I'm gonna also copy paste these in here. If you would like to put them in notes at all.
Thank you. This will be good to look back on.
Yes, there's a lot of these guys. There's a lot of these bitches. As you're sort of interacting with Tamatea as this sort of very beautiful, very matronly host, you notice something that I think is really subtle to you. Because you as Dove, I don't think you would think twice about this sort of thing in general because of the family that you come from and the way that you yourself were raised. But it's kind of noticeable when you're sitting in this room full of this line of Melantors and their mother. None of them except for the twins look alike in any feature.
I think Dove definitely does notice that, but I also don't think that they think much of it in a really interesting way, if that makes sense, because like, yeah.
I definitely agree, especially because of the way that you were raised, and I don't think that you would care, but it is, I think that's something that you would make note of, that it's not just that they don't have the same skin color, the same hair color, their faces don't really have a correlation to each other.
Yes, I definitely think Dove does take interest in that, but I think it's yeah.
Yeah, you have brunch. I didn't really have any questions planned because I didn't know if you would be down for brunch. But I think that a lot of what this brunch is sort of asking Quintilius how school is, but it's a lot of interrogating you. It's a lot of being like, "Oh, like, where are you from? Like, what have you been thinking about classes? Like, oh, you're a first year. How interesting." That sort of thing, you know what I mean? The focus of inviting you down to brunch is being like, there is a person in our house. You know what I mean?
Exciting. Dove definitely entertains everything. They definitely have like the air about them where like I don't think it's overwhelming for them at all because Dove is more of a people person anyway, and it's probably actually nice to be in all of this company where like people are like, you know, like this is nice in a way. And so I definitely think Dove will explain like where they're from, and as best they can try to explain that because Dove doesn't know if they'll like understand. But like be honest about it. They'll like try their best to explain where they're from. Like yeah, I think they're just having fun with it. I think that the are very nice and very polite. And I think they're having fun.
Yeah, I love that. I also think that I do think that's something that you would hear as something being discussed at this brunch. Because not only would they sort of talk about it amongst themselves, but also Tamatea would apologize to you personally. Like, oh, I'm sorry that you couldn't meet my husband. He's currently away on business.
Oh, it's no worry at all, really. I'm glad that I was able to meet so many of you.
There are many of us.
So I was told before I came here, and so now I do see.
Well, there's nothing wrong with a full house, in my opinion.
Oh no, I also grew up with a full house, believe me, in much closer quarters as well. At least you have the space.
She gives you sort of this warm smile, and she kind of gives a chuckle and says, I think that she's like kind of looking at you, and she kind of looks over at Quintilius and is like, Quintilius, you should have brought your friend home sooner. They're a delight.
How does he look during this?
I think that he is embarrassed. I don't think that he looks like uncomfortable, but I definitely think that he's interacting with a lot of his siblings, and he also looks really like embarrassed to have it like poked fun of like, oh, you didn't bring your friend over sooner, hee hee, you know what I mean? But I also
Yeah.
think that like there is almost a level of distance from him and his family that's not anything super extreme and that stops him from like interacting with people, but I think that that's something that you kind of pick up on. He doesn't really talk a lot about his time at school or his interests.
Mhm.
Mhm. But
Uh,
he is like enjoying getting like the lowdown because people are talking about like what they're doing. They talk a little bit about like what his father is doing while they're away. They refer to it as making a new connection, like for the family,
mhm.
that sort of thing. Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. Oh, I didn't even talk about the food. I think it is like. I think that you guys are sort of bonding over a meal that's like an egg tart and then also like a deconstructed French toast situation.
I love that a lot.
Yeah.
Um,
Light but too fancy still.
I do think at some point in the conversation, Dove looks over to the twin girls and kind of winks at them,
Mhm.
with a little playful, little mischievous smile as
Yeah.
they kind of turn their hair to the gray again.
Mhm.
Just for them, a little something for them.
Yeah, just a little something for them. Do you keep it?
Um, yeah, I don't think Dove would like be in a rush to change it or anything. It's just changing to them. So if anybody else notices, that's completely fine. If they ask, that's fine.
Hee hee hee. I think something really cute that might happen. Okay. Okay. I love making annoying kids, and I know Dove loves annoying kids. I think Satimio next to you. Now, keep in mind, Satimio is like this miserable-looking 15-year-old boy.
Mhm.
Um, scrawny, scraggly-looking emo ass, right?
Yes.
Well, for a rich kid, you know.
Yeah.
Um, and I think that he is like almost startled by how your hair changes, and he puts his hands on the table. And I think he almost immediately goes to be like, um, I don't want to say that he calls you out, but I think he instantly calls you out. Like, I straight up think he's like, Mama Dove's using magic at the table. And so everybody kind of pulls attention to you and your like new hair color. But
Dove would actually speak up and go, it's actually not magic.
I think okay, so I think that there's like it's not that everybody looks concerned. Everybody just kind of looks startled that Satimio would really suddenly like say that. And he immediately looks embarrassed, but then the rest of the table immediately thinks that this is really funny, and really cute. And I think Tamate is too far away to like pat your hand, but I think that I think Primarosa is close enough to sort of lean across the table and sort of like pat one of your hands on the table and says, "No, like, don't worry. I understand. It's not disruptive either way." And she kind of looks over to Satimia, who now is like pointedly not looking at anybody.
I'm sorry if I knew there was a rule, I would have done it. But
No, no,
it
don't worry. And then you see, Carmichael from across the table is like, don't worry, it's mostly a rule for the children.
uh it actually isn't magic though. That was true. It's just something that I can do as a changeling.
Changeling?
Uh, yes, and they kind of gesture to themselves and explain like the way that they can shapeshift, but it's not magic.
Mm-hmm.
Um, and like they can change like their hair color, full appearance. Like I don't like need to go through it in character detail and describe
Yeah.
it, but like like Dove will be explaining like, oh, this is what a changeling is, this is what I can do. They would also say in kind of a humorous way, completely apparent to anyone that they took no offense at this, but they would say in a humorous way, that the girls had told them earlier that they would look better with gray hair, and that's why they had done it, to humor them again.
You see across the table where the twins are, they kind of go to look at you with like a withering look, but like Amphitrite, who's sitting next to them, goes to like knock one of them with the elbow, but like hard enough to that one like knocks into the other one. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Just playful, obviously not hurting them. But something very interesting happens because you're at this kind of big table and everybody's talking and everybody's kind of laughing at this really humorous thing that just happened. But I feel like as you're explaining this, all of them kind of go to look at you in an expression that doesn't really give away anything, but you're very suddenly the center of this conversation at this table. And it reminds you of the pointed interest that Quintilius had when he first saw your ability, as Tamatea, who's sort of like, kind of like eating the last bits of berries from her French toast, says, a shape changer, how interesting. Those aren't very common around here at all.
So I've heard from Quintilius. It's very natural for me. This is more. It's actually not very common that a changeling would just go about life as the default appearance, I suppose. But it's like changing clothes for us. It's very natural.
I see. You must be very popular in Quintilius's little club at school.
It was actually a large point when I joined the club that I would get no special treatment because of my shape-changing abilities, and I would not wish it any other way. I think it is an aid, but I don't wish to be treated differently because of it either.
Of course. And she has this really like polite but warm smile on her face as she's like looking at you as you are saying this. But in the middle of it, you can see that her gaze actually drifts over to her son next to you, Quintilius. As she kind of like continues her smile and is like nodding along with what you're saying, but like kind of looking at him. In a gesture that I can only describe as inscrutable to you.
I think Dove catches that and is like, something weird is going on here. But obviously they're not going to draw attention to it. But if it like comes up or if they like have any questions, Dev would like be more than willing to be like, here's what I can look like, you know? Yeah.
I think Cicely is very interested in it. I think that she is sort of, if I would have to categorize as anybody as like the bubbly sibling, it would be Cicely, the one with the sort of like blonde bowl cut. I think that she would be very interested in hearing you talk about it. And she probably asks like really guiding questions to see like what kind of things can you do, like asking like what the restrictions or what the edges of what you can do sounds like ominous, but it's not like that. It's literally like, oh, can you make a tail? Can you make wings? Can you make your teeth really big? You know, that sort of thing. I just think that it's a casual interest.
Yeah. Dove would look over to the twins and give like I just hope that they don't take it too personally because Dove meant it as like a very humorous thing, even though the family was like, oh, how could you say that? But Dove was like, I just thought it was humorous. I thought it was funny.
Kids say the darndest things. Don't worry. I don't think that they scold them too much. And I do also think that they think it's silly. But also the kids are like,
Yeah.
Snake. Daddledale. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Yeah. I think it's really cute. But yeah, eventually brunch gets finished. It's not a super filling meal. You can tell that it's kind of just like a fancy snack that they all get together to have in like a nice sunroom, as rich people are wont to do, you know.
Yeah.
But it's like really refreshing, and eventually people go to like start separating their separate ways. And this is a section where I would love to ask what you want to do as Dove. Are you trying to like
Yeah.
talk to specific people in the Melantor house? Are you gonna like explore? Do you want to go like to the gardens? You technically can go into Silk Meadow proper. You can go and like rest or like talk to Quintilius, that sort of thing.
Yeah, real quick, I do want to say, I have to, uh, it, Satimio was the emo ass one sitting next to me,
Yeah,
right?
Satimio.
Satimio. Really quick, I do want Dove to maybe try to like catch him after the brunch just to like quickly be like, I do apologize if I startled you at all. I really hadn't meant anything by it.
I think that when you catch him, he almost wants to like avoid your gaze, as again he looks kind of embarrassed about the situation. He goes to kind of clear his throat. And he's been slouching, but he goes to like put his spine up really tall. And he says, "No, it's fine. It didn't rattle me at all."
That's good to hear. You were. I just want you to know that you were completely in the right. I no ill feelings at all. I'm in your house. I should be following your rules. Um, it is very nice to meet you, though, and I hope that me making a mistake like that hasn't soured anything.
I think that that's really cute. I think that Satimio definitely looks a little avoidant to talk over long with you, but I do think that you get the impression that he does not seem overly soured, because as he goes to like reassure you and then go to like really quickly leave, as he turns around you see him have like a really little smile as he goes to like run off.
That's good.
Yes.
Um, I God, there's so much I could do. It's crazy.
There's so much you could do. If you want to do more that we can't really get into in a mini session, or if I say, hey, I need to prep that, feel free to get on my ass about it. That'll be really fun to talk about.
Oh, for sure. I do want Dove to hang out in the gardens a little bit because that would be so amazing for them. And
Mm-hmm.
if I end up talking to, I believe it was Waverly.
Oh, yeah, the gardener.
Yes, that would be completely fine. I would love to talk to her and hang out in the gardens and maybe do a little walk around.
Yeah.
Uh, I obviously do want to talk to Quintilius, but like I'm trying to think of all of the non-Quintilius interactions because that is obviously why I'm here.
Yeah. Of course, of course. I'm trying to find a good picture of like the willow trees outside, because I think that they would be absolutely gorgeous to go sit under. But I'm gonna have to give you a close up and a far away, because unfortunately the far away ones don't show you the cool aspect of them. But the cool thing
Mhm.
about corkscrew willows is that their actual stems are red.
Ooh,
Yeah, so that's why they're called scarlet corkscrews. They're really pretty. Here's a big picture of them. And then here's
Iggy.
another really close up, because I think they're a really pretty willow tree.
That's really pretty.
Yeah, I like trees. Smiley face. Okay, sorry, I'm done looking at trees. Okay, so you want to go into the gardens and talk to Waverly, you said?
Yeah, just kind of like in general, like spend time out there, go for like walks, see the garden. And I assume I would run into her regardless if she's like
Yeah,
working out there. So yeah, I
yeah,
feel
I
like that would
definitely.
definitely say something when they notice her again.
Yeah, you definitely can go and take a walk, and obviously the back of the house has an even more extensive garden. Though generally it would be like a light garden in the front and then a really big garden in the back, but in it seems like the style in Silk Meadow would be to have equally big gardens in the front and back because of how green facing it is.
Hmm.
Um, but the back has a lot of places for sitting. It has little paths for walking. Sometimes the trees will kind of curl over the path. It's really like pretty and sort of like almost Regency level of like a lot of places to come out and get like alone time and relax.
Hmm.
Um, and you see this really pretty sort of, I would call it a pond, but it's sort of built like it's like the well of a fountain, you know, where it's like got like marble edges to sit on the sides of the pond, but it doesn't really have like a fountain going.
Yeah.
Um, and you see that by the time you start getting to the back, I think that she would probably be um, maybe checking the trunks of the trees for things like bugs, worms, seeing if they look healthy, that sort of thing.
Uh, I feel like Dove kind of like calls out to not startle her as they approach and they say, hello, I believe it was Waverly?
You see that she goes to look up really steadily at being spoken to, and she gives sort of a bright smile and says, yes, that's my name, Miss Sarah. It's nice to meet you. Did you need anything?
Oh, you don't have to call me a title, really. I just wanted to speak with you, I suppose. I was meeting everyone else around the house.
Oh,
My name is Dove. I'm Quintilius's guest.
well, it's lovely to meet you, Dove. It's exciting to see a guest in the house.
That's what. Oh my gosh, I'm so sorry. That's what
Uh,
Tamatea had said as well.
yes. It's a full house, of course, with the other workers and some extended family of the Melantors, but it's generally a tight knit group, if that makes sense.
Oh, I understand. This garden is truly beautiful. It's unlike anything I've ever seen before. I come from a city and grew up in a very small house with a lot of other people, and uh, because we lived in the lower wards, we did not have a lot of greenery around us.
You see that she goes to take the compliment sort of with a blush and a smile, and she puts a hand to her face, and she's like, "Oh, thank you, really. Having having an amazing garden in a place like Silk Meadow is really a feat." Um, uh, but I think that whenever you keep talking about it, it almost makes her look kind of sad. But she kind of gives a sympathetic smile and says, "Well, I hope that the flowers and the trees can lift your spirits some.
Oh,
I'm not
thank
sure
you.
if I would be able to live in a city like that."
It's I lived my whole life there, so I suppose I got used to it, but it was quite different from anything here, that's for sure.
Understandable.
uh,
I hope that I didn't mean any offense when I said that.
oh no, no, I hadn't meant it to sound sad at all. I'm sorry if I seemed melancholic. It did have its perks though. It was actually a vertical city, and it did have some magic around it as well. So there was some floating islands high up above. It was quite the feat to
There's a
see.
place like that?
um, Not here, unfortunately. It's a bit of a long story, but I can explain if you'd like.
Um, you can explain however much you'd like. It's I'm just I'm not really doing much at the moment.
I'm um, are you sure if you're busy working, I don't wish to bother you?
Well, if you want to talk to me, I don't want to bother you much.
Apologies, I don't come from any kind of nobility, so this is all very new to me.
I
I,
understand.
I feel
That's a
like I've
common
been
issue here.
I feel like I've been bumbling my interactions, but and they'll kind of go on to explain like I come from a place that's not here, but then I came here, blah 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 blah. And they'll
Yeah.
try to explain it as like an easy a way to understand as they
Mhm,
can.
mhm, mhm. Definitely, definitely. I think the concept of planes is like understandable by most people in Arcavios. I just think when you get to the whole like there's 15 million of them, and also all of them have people. I think the idea of being like, oh, I come from like another like plane, but like people live there also, and like I came over here, and it would be like,
Yeah,
wow, that's amazing, that sort of thing.
yeah. I feel like Dove is really purposely like really genuine when talking to her. Not
Mhm.
like they think that she's mistreated or anything, but I think that they're just very aware when they talk to like servants of the house and
Mhm.
I hope you can understand what I mean.
No,
I
I
don't think that
understand
they're like
entirely.
those fake bitches. They're just like, wow, hi.
No, 100%, because you're like one of the common people. Like you would
Yeah,
see a worker and not think, oh, the help. You know what I mean?
yeah. Dove is talking to her like as equally as they would talk to anybody else here.
Mhm, mhm, mhm. I think
Uh,
that's really cute. I think she likes talking to you. I think that she's very interested to like get to know this guest of the Melantours.
uh, I feel like eventually Dove would be like, I'm sorry to intrude though. I really had just wanted to introduce myself and speak with you a little bit, and give my compliments on this lovely garden that you've made.
Thank you. I really appreciate it. If you ever have any questions, I could always tell you more about it. But I would honestly recommend you look at some of the other gardens around Silk Meadow.
That is true. I haven't had the chance to leave just yet, but thank you. I will, and I'm sure that I will have questions.
Of course. I hope you have a good time with your stay.
Thank you.
And you see when you leave, she seems to have a little pep in her step and a big smile.
Oh wait, can Dove actually ask who that was beside her? Dove will ask like, oh, I'm sorry, but I had meant to ask, I noticed something beside you when I first came here, and had it just been a wild animal or was it a pet of yours?
Oh, 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 no, 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 not a pet. Just a little fox that found its way into the yard.
Oh, a fox.
Yes, they're one of the most common animals to see in Silk Meadow. There are, of course, other kinds like bunnies and deer and a lot of cats in the city proper. But we're noted for how many foxes are willing to step into the city walls, and that one wanted to come and see my petunias, I suppose.
That's lovely. I don't think I've ever had the chance to see a fox before. I hope I can see some.
Keep your eye out. We have many of them. Little red ones, black ones, pale ones.
I will, thank you.
Of course.
Now I know why somebody knew we were here.
Huh?
I said now I know why somebody knew we were here.
Yeah.
Anyway, I think that's all that they really had to say. I just wanted to kind of introduce myself a little bit.
Yeah, of course. I think that it was definitely a really cute interaction. And I think that both of you are really happy to be done with it. But yeah, is there anything else that you'd like to do while you're in the session?
Yeah, I think generally I would like Dove to walk around Silk Meadow. I think that if Dove is here, might as well go look at the town itself.
Yeah, I can definitely tell you about it. It's very pretty. I have a couple paragraphs to kind of describe it that I can say. Um,
Sure. Oh,
what's up?
if Quintilius would like to go with Dove, I think that Dove would really enjoy looking at the town with him.
Oh, Dove would like doing that. I think that Quintilius would really like getting out to kind of like spend time with you that's not like in the house. And also that way Quintilius can kind of show you around, which is really cute.
Yeah, I like that too.
Awesome. Okay, so I'm going to read off my little things because I didn't know if you were going to explore before you explored the house, but basically you got a basic summary of it's sort of like this city made of this white stone, pastel, brightly colored roofs in the same style as the estate that you just were in gleaming water fountains and these sort of like cobblestone but like mosaic streets, as they're sort of like these pale white stone with sort of pastel colors that really like shine in like the bright sunlight of like the two suns of Arcavios. Um, every road, walkway, bridge, and establishment is framed by beautifully cultivated flowers and orange and yellow leaved trees. Not all of them are willows like the Melantor house are, but they sort of have like this autumnal look to the trees because of how cold it's been. Um, and it's also cut by these really wide, bright blue waterways that have these beautiful bridges that go over it. But as you get closer, you get to see just how many people will sometimes travel on these really elegant, curved gondolas with little lanterns on them. And they have like beautiful, colorful lilies on lily pads. Um, uh, oh, I wrote this part that I think you'd like. It's a big city in a way that Sharn never was to you, where um, it's all a beautiful polish, but it also allows so much space for nature. As Waverly mentioned to you, you are surprised just how often you see a rabbit scurry across a path, or see a deer eating from a tree, or see a pile of cats laying in a warm patch of sun.
Oh, this would make them so happy.
Yeah, and you actually do see a decent amount of foxes. At one point you see one that's kind of ducked under a stall, and you see it's sort of like a bright red face and its little black socks as it kind of like looks at you, with this sort of intelligence that foxes have as like a predator animal. Um,
Can
yeah.
Dove, if the road isn't too busy, can Dove kind of like lean down and like hold their hand out to it?
Yeah, I would love for you to do that. You should roll me an animal handling.
Sure. 17. I actually
Yeah,
have proficiency in animal handling.
I remember you telling me that one time. It definitely seems interested that you got close, and it goes to like come up to you and snuffle at your hand, but it makes this sort of like loud, like I would almost compare them to laughing noises.
Yeah,
Um,
I know what the sound that foxes make. They're cute.
I love them. And then I think it sniffs at your hand, um, and then it kind of like realizes that like, oh, you don't really have any food, but then it kind of like goes to like run around your feet with its tail sort of like really wagging really wildly like foxes like to do.
Is Quintilius with me right now?
Quintilius is with you right now, and I think that I think that he thinks that it's, I think that watching you interact with the animals is kind of cute. So I think he's just smiling at you.
Yeah. I don't think Dove has any food on their person at the moment, but they will definitely be enjoying themselves. And if the fox would allow it, Dove will try to like reach the hand out to like give it scritches or like a quick pat. But if it's like too skittish for that, Dove won't push it.
I definitely think that it'll let you pet it. I think that it'll let you pet it a little bit, but I think eventually it ends up kind of scurrying off whenever like a horse-drawn cart goes to pass you by. But it's a really cute moment, and you can definitely try to interact with more animals as you go along. You see a bunch of other types of foxes. Like Waverly said, it's not like only one kind of fox is here or only one kind of rabbit is around here. You see it's honestly kind of interesting because we as people on Earth have seen ones that are like white, that are black, that are like red, that are like gray, that are like brown. But you also see ones that are kind of like unnaturally colored. Like at one point you see like a pale blue one.
Wow.
And it's very cool. Yes.
I think Dove would probably make a comment to Quintilius at some point about like the beauty of Silk Meadow, but also like that they never thought that they would see this many like different kinds of foxes, or really like any foxes in their life.
From what I hear in most other places, they aren't quite friendly folk. I hear the farther you go out from the city, they're a bit more of an issue with stealing chickens and that sort of thing, but considering the town itself doesn't have their own, that's probably why it's more of just a cute thing to see.
I think they're very sweet.
They are, especially when you have food in hand.
I'll have to keep some around next time.
We can pick some up. Um, and I think that you guys kind of walk around. Something that you kind of realize that I think is really interesting. Sharn was always full of something to do, and you, as somebody from a big city, always kind of could tell when there were things to do. Um, Somebody once told you that Silk Meadow felt like it was only for people on vacation, and it does kind of feel like that, where it feels like most of the places that are things to do is like either shop or window shop. So like there are like really pretty storefronts with things like clothes, potion shops, magic shops, places that sell accessories, boots, that sort of thing. But there's also like big thoroughfares that have these sort of like carts that you can tell probably came into the city to sell things. Things like florist carts and farmer stalls and the like. Places where people sell home goods. Because you're also aware that Silk Meadow is a big town, but the surrounding area is a lot of farmland and small villages that sort of live off of the abundance of this area.
Oh, that's very interesting. I like
Yeah.
it.
Also, I actually forgot to mention this, but because of like where I'm looking on the map, this is also technically in a valley. So in the distance, you see like on one side there's like one mountain that kind of comes up from like the tree line, and then on the other side there's sort of like a mirroring one.
Very nice. I like
Yes,
it.
I like it.
Yay. I like it.
So if you want to go shopping, that's kind of all you can do besides walk around and look at pretty things. But it's nice.
That's really fair. I definitely think Dev would love looking around some shops.
Yeah.
But we don't have to like detail that right now.
I can talk about 2 areas that I prepared if you're interested.
Cool.
It depends on where you're going shopping though, because it depends on like if you're just looking, then I can show you both of them. But one basically is in case you wanted flowers, and then one is basically in case you wanted like food from like a farm, because that's kind of the 2 places you can go. You know?
You I can see Dev window shopping, so if you want to describe me both of them, I have a feeling that Dev would probably be looking around at the shops regardless.
Yeah, definitely. 2 places of note stand out to you. One of them is a florist. It's actually like a cart, so it's actually like I would almost compare it in shape to kind of like a Vardo wagon, where it's like hooked up to a horse and it has that sort of like sloped roof. But it has like open windows that are just full of like flowers and plants and greeneries and little herbs and pots. And it's actually being run by 2 sort of middle-aged / older, this little goblin couple. And then,
Wait,
and then,
wait.
yeah.
Where's Neri from? Neri, I'm so sorry, Neri?
It's in the server if you want to look it up.
Hold on a second. Hold on a second.
Yeah.
Sorry, I am looking. I'm trying to find it.
No, it's okay. If
I
you
knew
want,
it.
yeah, there we go.
Please continue, but I will circle back around to that.
Yeah, and then the other place that I prepared was kind of this this farmer's stall. And when I say a farmer's stall, it's like kind of a place where you can buy produce, things like that. It has things like apples, um, some like watermelons, lots of like bushels of like strawberries, both cultivated and like wild, that sort of thing. Um, Wheat by the sort of bushel. Um, that kind of has like this setup where it's like a lot of stalls, so you can tell this person comes here like a lot. But they have like a horse to the side, kind of drinking out of a trough in the back that has a lot more wares. It's being manned by this sort of like older, like rough looking human man with this sort of like red hair. And in front of it, you see a really small, like, elf girl with this sort of, like, long, sort of black hair, playing with an orange tabby cat in the street as he's sort of hawking his wares.
Mm-hmm. Interesting.
Yeah, who do you want to go see?
I feel like these two have connections to certain first years that I know that also happen to be from Silk Meadow.
Who knows? I don't know what you're talking about.
um, I will circle back around to the flower cart.
Mm-hmm.
And I think Dove will kind of brighten up when they see them and walk forward and go, hello. Um,
Oh, sorry, you're gonna
Go
keep
ahead.
talking?
No, go ahead.
As soon as you go to greet them, they both kind of look really excited. They're not hawking as hard as some other carts in the area. They kind of just wait for like customers to come in. You assume that actually feels like they're used to like repeat customers or certain regulars. But they look very excited to see a new person come close, and they both are like, "Oh, welcome, come over. Like, we have like all of these flowers that are on sale, and we have these beautiful like tree saplings. If you've ever wanted little spices to grow in your kitchens, we have some of that as well. Um, oh shoot! And you see that they go to like look at some papers that are kind of like in a pocket in the front of like the older man's like shirt, and say, and we also have ingredients for alchemists. Come look, come see.
Really, I do alchemy. That's very interesting.
Yes, I am not versed in the craft, but I sell a lot of things that alchemists like.
um, Out of character, how do you pronounce? Is it Neri?
It is nary.
Neri. Dev will kind of brighten up and step forward to look, but as they're looking, they kind of casually go, you wouldn't happen to know a Neri and an Aspen, would you?
Oh, yes. Oh, you must be one of our baby girl's regulars. She's away at school right now, but we still
Oh,
have all of her stuff.
I'm actually a first year classmate of hers. We're in the same year.
Oh my gosh, really? And then you see the mom comes like hobbling over and is just like, "Oh, how's she doing at school?"
Oh God. We've only spoken a little bit, but I really like her.
Yeah, that's fair. You don't technically know a lot about Nerys. You're like, oh, fuck.
From what Dove has gathered from like their few interactions, like she seems really nice. I feel like they've gotten along in all of their interactions. I feel like she's been doing pretty decently, right? Like everything.
Yeah.
We've like
They
shared a few classes together.
Yeah, they definitely seem that they're doing like pretty good. They definitely don't seem to be having like any like issues or anything. You also know that you have seen her hang out a lot with like some other people at school. Like notably you've seen her hang out with Cinder a lot. But that's basically what you know about them.
Okay. Would I know that they're a part of like the horticulture club?
I will say yes. I feel like stuff like that spreads around a dorm hallway easily.
Yeah. Dove will kind of speak up and go, we haven't spoken overly much, but the few brief conversations I have had with them have been wonderful. I think that they've gotten accustomed to Strixhaven really well. I heard that they were part of the horticulture club there, and they seem to be doing really well in their classes.
Oh, that's good. That's really good. I'm glad to hear it. She sends sendings, but that's never as often as you want it.
Oh, I'm sure my family feels the same.
It's just hard, but it's okay. I'm glad that you guys are having fun at school. I'm glad that she's really getting what she wanted out of it. I told her she didn't need to go to that fancy school, but she said she wanted to be as best as she could be about it.
That's about what she told me when we were asking about why she had joined Strixhaven as well. She's very focused on her goals.
I think that's fair. I'm imagining she's wanting to upgrade from this old cart sometime soon.
um, I I am rather interested in your alchemy ingredients, though. And a little bit of some of your flowers and stuff. I can't help myself. I'm interested in a bit of everything.
Of course, of course. Well, I'll come show you. And you see that they show you around the cart, and you can see that the pots of all of the plants are very helpfully color coded, and the parents have to like check it every once in a while. But things like things used for cooking and things used for like decoration and things used for alchemy are all kept separately. So it's very easy to show you the alchemy things. They obviously cannot give you any advice on any of it, but they
No,
know how
that's
to
completely fair.
they know how to keep it alive and they know how to sell it to you.
Yeah, I don't think of mines at all. Um, I think that they would like to buy some alchemy ingredients, and I think that they would also like to buy some flowers.
Delicious. You can definitely do that. I'll say in your inventory you can just generally say ingredients for alchemy because alchemy does have a cost, you know, that sort of thing. Um, how much are you thinking you want to get for those specifically? Because that's kind of um, I think it's like based on like how much gold you spend on it, how much you can do with it, right? Because like with alchemy,
Uh,
it's like I think, right?
I would have to check.
I'm gonna check also because now I feel like I don't understand it. Alchemists. Supplies. I have to go to Xanathar's. Why did I think it would have it on the
Which,
normal thing?
okay, so a character can spend money to collect raw materials, which weigh 1 pound for every 50 GP spent.
There we
Um,
go.
blah blah
Okay.
blah.
That's what I was thinking about.
Okay. Um, I don't know that I want to spend 50 GP because that's a lot of money for me right now.
That's understandable. If you want, you can just buy the flowers and stuff like that.
I think so. Um, I don't suppose it's possible to do an arrangement, is it?
Oh, yeah, I can throw something together. That's fine. We can just make them look real pretty.
Sure, how much would that be?
I'm gonna say do you as Mackenzie know what kind of flowers you want in there?
I wanted flowers to give to either Quintilius or the Relentor house,
That is
but I
so
don't
cute.
know specifically what kind.
That's okay. You can just let them pick it. I didn't know if you wanted something particularly fancy or expensive. I think that they would just charge you um, uh, 4 SP.
Do you accept tips?
Well, I would never say no to extra, but you don't have to do that.
Oh, no worries at all. Here, and they will pull out a gold piece and add it to it.
My goodness. I think that they would be very thankful, and I think that the mom would kind of make a joke and be like, you know, you're giving this directly to the Strixhaven Fund.
Well, honestly, I'm I'm glad. I want to do anything I can to support her parents too. And
You're
it is such a
sweet.
cute card. It's really endearing.
Thank you. Neri worked really hard on it. Now you come back now if you're staying in Silk Meadow, okay?
I will. I'm sure I'll be back before long.
Hee 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 hee. Yeah, I think you have a cute little interaction and you get a little bouquet made. I feel like if you didn't know exactly what you wanted to ask for, I think that they would default to making a very like pretty, like colorful but also pastel bouquet that seems to be like the default aesthetic for a lot of things in this area.
Hmm.
But they look very
Uh,
pretty, and you think it'll match the
yeah.
house.
Uh, Duff will take it from them and kind of turn towards Quintilius and smile and kind of say, "Do you think your mother would like this?"
You got them for her?
I got them for the house, really, but I figured it was appropriate to get them for her specifically.
You see, he kind of gives this sheepish sort of smile over at you, and he goes to look away for a second and says, "I think that she would like that. You're very
That's
sweet, you know. You're a very uh, enjoyable guest. I'm sure they'll harass me the minute you go to leave."
I would never say no to coming back. It's very
No,
nice
don't give
here.
them the room. Give them an inch, they'll take a mile.
But no, this is a genuine gift. I'm not trying to butter her up at all. I just feel like I have to give something back. Um, Besides, I don't mind at all, giving gifts to people like this. Besides, I like flowers.
They are pretty.
Oh my goodness, now that we're here, I have to buy flowers and make you tea. I have to make you tea.
I suppose
No,
I
hold
have
on.
to I have to be humbled at some point.
I will be right back. You stay there. Devil turn around and walk back to the cart. If you don't have any recommendations, that's all right. But I am looking for something to make, um, d teas with
Yeah,
as well.
definitely. They would definitely show you to what they think would be a good selection for it, but they're all like plants that you can recognize what their tea characteristics would be. Um, I think if you want to spend like 5 SP, you can get like a selection of them, or if you want to spend like 1 GP, you can get like a big selection of it, and then you can make a bunch of different teas.
I will spend 5 SP to get like a smaller selection so I can make multiple, but I don't need too much.
Yeah, I understand.
So I will spend 5 SP, but then I also want Dev to kind of lean in and quietly trying to get Quintilius out of earshot.
Okay.
Dev will say, and I'll pay for it now, of course, but would you also make a bouquet of flowers for that gentleman over there from as my gift to him?
You see that the mom that you kind of like skirted away a little bit to whisper to kind of like looks at you and gives like this crooked grin and is like, "Oh, you sly dog. Oh, I love little schemes like that. Of course I'll do it."
The most beautiful one you can manage, please.
Of course. You need a delivery?
That would actually be wonderful. I will pay extra for it.
Of course. I'll make something for you. And I think that this one would cost 1 GP, but I think
Sure.
that the assumption is that she is like, "I'm gonna make this fancy." You know what I mean?
Dove would love that. And Dove's like, now that I've bothered you enough, I hope you both have a wonderful day.
Of course, it ain't no bother.
Thank you so much. And Dove will leave.
That was so cute.
Dove now has the bouquet. They're planning to give it to her like when they go back. What did I'm sorry, I'm like all over the place. What did the farmer's stall have again?
It had things like fruits and vegetables and like wheat and stuff. It had like general food stuffs that you would get from a farmer's place, but none of it is like processed, if that makes sense.
Ooh.
And then it has it was run by like an older looking man, and then an older looking human man, and then it has like a really young like elfin girl playing with a cat out front.
I think that will approach them and also kind of go, hello.
You see the man who's sort of hawking his wares goes to wave you over and say, "Welcome. We have some of the best deals you can get on this thoroughfare, and I can personally guarantee you the quality."
I can definitely believe that. Forgive my question if perhaps I'm thinking of the wrong person. You wouldn't happen to know a Fletcher, would you?
You see his demeanor is actually really interesting because he had his hands on his hips, interacting with you as a customer, and you see he kind of like squints and like leans back a little bit, and he says, "Why you asking?"
Oh, Fletcher is actually a classmate of mine. We're first years at Strixhaven together.
You see he goes to kind of look over to the girl that's kind of to the side, And you see he goes to Sai and he says, "Oh, okay. Well, that's good. I hope he's taken well to school. I'm his pa."
It's nice to meet you. I think it was a bit above all of our heads at first, but I think that he's doing well. Um, but I don't have to gossip about him or anything. I thought I remembered that he came from Silk Meadow.
Yeah, a bit outside of Silk Meadow, but we come into town every once in a while.
Right, that's what I thought.
The Fenris orchards are pretty popular.
Um, I want Dove specifically to get some like fruit or something to like snack on, but I don't know what.
There sure be some apples.
Ooh, I would like some apples.
Yeah, that's what the orchards are specifically for apples, is what he was
Oh,
getting
I
at.
see.
His apples
My
are
bad.
well known.
My bad. My bad.
That's okay. Yeah, you can
Uh,
get some apples. You can get a bushel.
Dove like brightens up and says, "I would love to buy some of your apples. How much would it be?"
Hold
Uh, is this his younger sister then?
on. You see him go to look over.
And when Dove says that, they do look to her with like a smile. The
Ooh,
little
that's really
elven girl.
interesting. You see. Hold on one second. Let me get this. Let me get this price.
Okay.
Okay. I think you can get one apple per CP.
Okay. I will get 5 apples.
For 5 CPs.
5 CPs.
Um, I think so. So a really quick thing happens kind of quickly where you go to like look over at the girl and she like notices that you look over at her as she's sort of playing with this cat. And she looks up at you and she almost like immediately sort of like squints at you as she goes to like scoop up the cat under its like armpits and immediately goes to run behind the stall. And you see the man kind of go to give a sigh, and he takes off his hat and he says, "Ava, it's okay, you can come out." But she doesn't seem to want to move.
Well, I'm sorry. I didn't mean anything by it.
No, it's not you. Ava is a recent addition to our household.
Oh, I understand.
But she's warm and she's fed, and she gets along great with the animals. So she's a sweet girl, really.
My family is a bit like that too, a mixed family. No really blood relations between any of us. I understand.
He gives kind of a tired smile at that. And he says, I don't know what else he'd say. I think he would just say, like, thank you. I think that he looks genuinely sort of like you guys have a connection of being like sympathetic to the situation, I think.
Yeah. Sorry, hold on. I think Dove would also ask, do you happen to accept tips here?
On the principle, I'm not usually a fan of those things, but it would be bad business practice to say no if you had generosity.
I don't mean it out of pity or anything, please believe me, but if it makes you uncomfortable, I really don't have to.
I appreciate you understanding.
Of course.
We do well enough here.
That's good. And Dev will actually think for a minute and carefully, without trying to undo the bouquet, pull out like
Mhm.
a more like vibrant flower if they can manage, and
Mhm.
pull it out and kind of hand it towards him and say, this is for her if she would like to take it as my apology for fighting her.
I think that the man's demeanor kind of softens a bit, and he goes to take the flower. In a way where it looks like he's uncomfortable with the idea of like a delicate touch. You know what I mean? Like he's like trying really hard not to accidentally squash this guy.
Yeah.
Um, and I think that he is going to actually take the time to kind of squat behind the stall to sort of uh talk to her. And you kind of overhear him go like, "Oh, come on, let go of him. You're gonna squeeze the life out of him now." As he goes to like take the cat and set him up on the counter. Um, as he goes to kind of give this flower over to Ava. And you see that she kind of looks over at you from like behind the counter. She doesn't really get any closer, but you see that she takes the flower.
Dev will smile very warmly at her and just kind of nod.
Uh, uh, there is this really cool cat that's on the stall next to you, though. It's this really cute
Oh,
orange tabby cat. It's kind
oh
of
my
just like
goodness.
staring at you because like it doesn't know what to do now that it's on the top of the counter.
Dev will kind of hold out her hand to see if it would like to sniff and if it would allow it to let Dev pet it.
That's really cute. I think so. I think as you go to reach out your hand, Ava goes to say the first thing that she's like actually said to you, where she goes to say, "He don't like people," but the cat is like already sniffing at your hand, and goes to kind of lay its head in your hand so you can scratch its chin.
Dev gives good scritches under the chin.
That makes Ava almost go to give like a pouty face.
It's I think animals just like certain people more, but it doesn't mean that it likes me more than you. If anything, I think that means you're very special to this cat.
You see that she kind of looks away when you say that, but it seems to be well received.
um, well, I won't bother you further, but thank you very much for taking the time to speak with me.
Uh, you see the man goes to wave a hand and say, "No, don't worry, it's not a bother."
Have
Uh,
a good day.
you too. Uh, yeah, I think that
Yay.
you finish your interactions and you have a pleasant walk with Quintilius, and you go back, um, and you give the flowers, to Tamatea. Uh, and I think that this is where I'm going to end this mini session because I think it's really fun. I think it opens up a lot of interactions that you could have if you wanted to.
Yeah.
Yay! But I think it was really fun.
That was really fun. I completely understand. I'm sorry that I kept yapping.
No, we love yapping in this house. We love yapping. Also, it was only like 2 hours. It's really not that long.
Yay. Oh, that was so fun. Hee hee hee.
Hee hee hee.
But